How you doing?
I'm alright, good brother.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yep, I'm alright. Yep, I'm doing alright, good brother. How you doing?
Man, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. I try to make sure I cover both coasts, and I've developed a following in Northern California. Not only that, I grew up on that music out there in the Bay. So I appreciate having you on my show. I'm a little bit in the dark about your career, but my knowledge of it is growing rapidly. I've been studying you for the last couple of days. And again, I really appreciate having you on my platform.
Man, it's an honor. Me and my wife watch your show all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, we got to be damn near the same age because when I started to look up, your history and shit, a lot of them songs resonated with my memory, mainly a Young G's perspective. Was that a big record in our day?
Yeah, that was big. That was 1995. Me and Mac Vaughn. Me and Mac Vaughn, just he the bigger figure. He produced it. Yeah, it was a big record.
That's where I was at, 95, 96. I used to buy a lot of the Bay Area music, cell block compilations and different shit like that. So you definitely a brand that I'm familiar with. How old was you when you popped off in hip hop?
I dropped my first album in March of 1993.
93.
I was 14 years old.
Okay, that could give some history on why I'm so familiar with your name. The CD with your face on it, was that your debut joint?
Yeah, it said "Don't Cross Me."
Okay, I remember that being in my neighborhood. I just wasn't all the way, familiar with, your history.
Mm-hmm.
Could you bring me up to date? How did you start? How did you become an MC?
I started when I was young, probably about 12 years old. I wanted to make a name for myself in my neighborhood, and because you weren't shit if you didn't have a name.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So, everybody else's name was from dope dealing or playing basketball or part of a big family. So I didn't have a big family like that. My family got big as I started rapping, then everybody became my cousin. But before that, I didn't have no real big family or nothing like that. So I just in Fillmore was a place where there was a lot of projects, before they slowed down. A lot of bullies, and then the thing was to bully and jump on people. So I wanted to be safe by having a good name.
Okay. So you
I started rapping, man. I started rapping when I was 10 or 11.
So you born and raised in San Francisco?
I was born in Oakland.
Born in Oakland. Okay.
Yeah, but I came to San Francisco when I was 2.
Okay. And when you moved to San Francisco, you moved to the Fillmore?
Yeah, my family already had been in Fillmore since the Great Migration in 1941.
For those who are not familiar with the history of the Fillmore, could you bring them up to date on exactly what we're talking about? The Fillmore has a legendary history pertaining to vice and street people. So go ahead and bring them up to date, pimp.
In Fillmore, I love my neighborhood, as you know. My great grandparents they came on the Union Pacific during the Great Migration in 1941. They stayed in the West Side Projects. Fillmore is like Harlem in the West. That's what they call it. So it's just Harlem in the West. So there's been a lot of players, pimps, gangsters, musicians like Fillmore Slim. You know what I mean? He plays the guitar too. That's what he really do. Slim is a guitar player, but he ended up, he fell into the pimping. You feel what I'm saying? So, like any other place, in a big city, we just swagged out, man. Like Harlem in the West. If you know what Harlem is, people know about Harlem.
Right.
Harlem in the West. You feel me?
I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you, right? When I started to look up your music and shit, of course, I looked up to some of the newer joints, and it brought me to a song called "Ain't Nobody Thuggin'," and immediately I got that funk vibe, that Bay Area funk vibe, and now I love that SOS Band remake. Whose idea was it to freak that SOS Band joint?
It was my idea.
Okay.
Yeah, but we just used the producer. I think that's producer when they made that beat, Hydraulics. And do name Hydraulics. He actually was in the penitentiary. He making beats from inside jail. It's a trip.
He sent that. Hold on, Sam. He sent that joint from the penitentiary.
From the penitentiary in Seattle, yeah.
God damn! Shout out to him. That's a first. That's a first. So, when he sent a beat home from the penitentiary, man, you take it and you turn it to magic, man. What's his response and shit?
He be happy. And he got something to be happy about. He getting a check, and the shit is getting out there. So he be juiced. He be grateful.
Okay. I checked out the video. I seen you had Lavish in there.
Yeah, Lavish, that's my boy. I fuck with Lav.
No doubt.
Yeah, I fuck with Lav a long way.
I like his music. Shout out to Lavish.
He's an underdog. He's an underdog, man.
Yeah, he's fire. I lived in the West Coast for about 9 months, and I got hip to him. I learned real fast that there was guys in Cali, the Bay Area especially, who got an East Coast skill set when it come to MCing. Like the MCs that come out of the Bay and the MCs that come from Los Angeles, it's a little different.
Right.
Do you agree?
Yeah. We found ourselves out the East Coast. I grew up liking Big Daddy Kane. That's who I looked up to.
Okay. See, when I played this joint, Ain't Nobody Thuggin' and shit, I probably listened to half of it, and then I stopped it, and I immediately typed in Mac Mall and San Quinn, because I looked at the way you was dressed, and I listened to the shit you was saying, and I'm like, I gotta hear him and Mac Mall together. And when I typed it in, I seen y'all had a plethora of songs together, so the flavor is definitely vibrant, and it attracted me to everything that you're doing right now. Can you give me some history on the Fillmore as far as hip hop? I've noticed in an interview you mentioned some very colorful names. You mentioned OG Space Age Gangster, Sonny Boy. Are these MC? Were those rappers?
No, it was gangsters. The Space Age Gangsters is that's something that was about like in 83, 84, like in the late 70s. When I was just going to preschool and shit like that over there, they were called Red Light Bandits. So it was KY, who was really from New York, but he came to Fillmore, Mad Max, Larry Dorn. Them is OGs. They like 64 now. They 20 years older than me.
Okay.
But they set the precedence in the neighborhood. You know, they was robbing banks and, jury heist. And, sometimes they rob a drug dealer if the dealer wasn't holding it together. And Sonny Boy, he was known for hitting licks. His sister is the mayor of San Francisco.
Wow.
London Breed. That's his sister. Her brother's a real gangster.
Damn.
44 years in jail.
Wow. Can you, I didn't catch all of the names. You named about 10 niggas, man. They all sounded colorful and notorious and shit. Could you run by a few more names of those guys so my listeners can bring us up to date, man?
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Larry Dorn, Mad Max, of course, Chopper, the Mac Minister, the one that's in jail for that fat tone and Mac Dre shit.
Right.
That's one of my mentors right there. He raised me. KY, Sonny Boy.
Okay.
Black Dane. All the toys for robbing, robbing and his licks and shit like that. Big licks though. Popping up with 120,000. Troy and Dino Smith. They did the biggest jury heist in American history. For $6 million.
Shout out to them. I seen them on American Gangster. Shout out to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, them is my uncles.
Them is your people.
Yeah, them is my people, yeah.
Wow. Shout out to them. I watched that series, man. I've watched it several times and shit. I like their style and shit. I think they ran on both coasts and everything when the heat was on. So yeah, I'm up on it. I noticed that
it was a lot like New York. not to cut you off.
Okay.
They call it like baby New York because of the BART trains, like the subways. You know what I mean? The big buildings. So when we get to New York, we feel it on.
No doubt. What was your first time coming to New York City? Speaking of New York.
I came for the Rocksteady thing in 1999. It was a Rocksteady. I don't know how many years that was for Rocksteady.
Oh, the Rocksteady crew reunion.
Yeah, that's my first time going. Me and my partner Gonzo, rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Gonzo, man.
That was my brother.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Gonzo, 20 years friends, man. That broke my heart when he just got hit like that up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me your relationship.
99. That was 99 though. Yeah, that was 99.
99?
I flew into New Jersey and we caught the subway to Times Square. And when I got off the train, I heard everybody screaming and shit, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? And Gonzo said they doing that because they know we coming. I said, shut the fuck up. I got up there, it was Justin Timberlake and his crew was at you know how they do the summer concert series?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was going on right when we got off the train. So that shit was big.
Okay.
You know?
So the Rocksteady crew brought you to the East Coast. I would take it that you was old enough to remember the whole B-boy movement, and you was a part of that, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up with Fat Legs. I grew up with hip hop. You know what I mean? Fat Legs is everything. Break.